Hey, welcome to another update on Archmage Rises, and it has been 2 months since my last video update, and I'm sort of sorry about that, but there's this weird irony between when you don't hear anything from us, it's because we're so darn busy. I've been working weekends for, 2 months, and I just haven't had, the hour or whatever that it takes in order to put together a video update, so sorry about that. But the title of this update is Ramping Up, and that I'm just going to blow through a whole bunch of news items, which I could go into much more detail on, but and maybe I will in other updates, but let's just bring you up to speed with what is going on with Archmage Rises. So, we have never been so busy working on the game, and I'll tell you why in a second. We just finished another brutal lockdown because of COVID, so I'm in Ontario, Canada, and we cannot go to restaurants, we cannot get haircuts, religious services are limited to 15 people at each thing. Outdoor gatherings are limited to 5 people. You can't have anybody in your house, like that level of lockdown. And then I look at my friends down south in the United States, and they're going to hockey games and Disneyland, and nobody's wearing a mask anymore and stuff, so it is really crazy. So I used to make fun of the Americans for how many cases of COVID they have, but I guess they got it out of their system, and here we are still in lockdown. Now, if you recall, Josh, we hired Josh. He was working remotely down in Michigan, and he moved here. And so we have another person from Michigan that has moved here, and getting him across the border was a huge ordeal. I could go into that, but anyway, it took 3 days to get the guy across the border. He's finally in the border. He went through his quarantine, and now he works right there, and he likes vertical monitors. Do you like vertical monitors? He does. So anyways, that's his vertical monitor. So you can't see the shield as well. And we had to move the fridge. Actually, we had to move everything around in here just to fit 4 of us into this room. I only thought there'd ever be 2 of us in here, but now there's 4 of us in here. And we are hiring 2 more. 2 more people are starting on Monday. That brings the Defiance team up to full-time people. Get my fingers right. 7. We have 7 full-time people. That is crazy. 2.5 years ago, it was just me, and now we're 7. So that is, it's great. It's exciting. It's crazy. So 2 people starting on Monday. There's so much to do, getting them set up with email and the GitHub and the tools, and anyway, there's tons of stuff that we have to do. So 2 more people starting. I'll introduce them to you later. And they are programmers, programmer developers, game designers, I guess. And on top of that, we're looking at 1 more full-time hire, maybe in the fall. And so ramping up. Just finished, you haven't seen any update, we did release some hot fixes and such about the combat. We were done with combat in late end of May. So beginning of June, we started working on Build 14. What is Build 14? Build 14 is the world of Archmage Rises. Not necessarily content per se. I mean, there's definitely needs to be content, but how the game plays, and most importantly, what the objectives are of the player in the world. So you could, for instance, go to a town and go and visit the Conclave, and they would have a bunch of magical spells, whatever, available, but you couldn't actually do anything with the Conclave. There was nothing behind the Conclave. You couldn't join the Conclave. You couldn't move up the ranks of the Conclave. You couldn't become head of the Conclave. That's what we're working on now, and just making the overall breadth of gameplay. We have so many systems that we've built over so many years, and now we're trying to bring it all together and bring it into a cohesive game. Build 14 is maybe the last build before we are feature complete. Again, I've said this before, I may break Build 14 down into 15 and 16, but generally speaking, we are working on the last part that brings the whole game together. We made the dungeons good enough, goodish. We made combat good enough, goodish. And now we need to make the world and the simulator good. Okay, so we started working on it, and the big thing that was missing was the design document. I've been working on the design document for Archmage Rises on like, okay, so I talk about things like there's religions in the world, and I talk about you can have romance and you can have kids, and you can, if you're female, you could be 9 months pregnant and in combat, and what does that mean? What does that look like? What is the impact of it? You have a child. What does that mean? How much gameplay is there when you're raising your kids? Had some good discussion on the forums with some people about that. So, in a sense, there's never been an end line on Archmage Rises. Now, from the first day, and there's some of you that are following this that were there 7 years ago in 2014, August of 2014, when I listed out a bunch of features that Archmage Rises is going to have. That's still the same feature set. I haven't increased it. I've made it better. So, when I have a bullet point, and that was maybe going to represent a certain amount of functionality, I've now increased that functionality by 5-fold or whatever, but it's still the same bullet point. So we've always had the same end line in terms of these are the features that we're going to put into the game. But specifically, how do you play it? What do you do? What are the factions in the game? Apparently there's going to be a Thieves Guild in the game. And so listing out those factions, how do they behave? How do they interact within the towns? How do you join them, see activity of them? That's Build 14. I've been working on the design document for Build 14 since January 13th of 2021. And I just finished it June 6th of 2021. It took me exactly 6 months in order to write this document. It is over 250 pages long. There's some pictures in there, some diagrams, some UI mock-ups. But holy cow, was that ever a ridiculous effort in order to make that thing. But the good news is that we now know these are all the features, and then we were able to go and estimate them. And now you're wondering, I'm going to give you a date. And the answer is I can't give you a date right now for reasons that will be clear very soon. So we finally have a finish line. And that's it. We just have to build all these features and then we're done. And I know that's been true for 7 years. But anyway, we didn't have details on exactly what the features were. We didn't know, is this a 5-day feature, a 35-day feature? Now we have that sense. And so we can put together a schedule. It's also more clear the kind of help that we need in order to make the game. So finish the design document. And we already started working on it, even though I didn't tell you about it. But we started working on it back in June. And give you a couple examples of what we've been working on for Build 14. There's a whole new map. There's all new map graphics, and the performance of the map is, I don't know, it's 100 times better, faster. Visibility lines, how the patrols appear and how the monsters appear and they chase you. It's all new and it's all better, and it looks really great. I'm excited to show it to you soon. Then there's, you've heard me talk about the simulator. It needs to be like fast time and slow time. So when you're in a town, it kind of matters where someone is like every hour. Like, are they at home sleeping? Are they at the bar? And are they ordering a drink? Or are they singing a song? Or are they in a fist fight? But the other towns, the towns you're not in, does it matter what they're doing on an hourly basis? Well, up until this point, we've been simulating every single person for every single hour. And that's stupid in terms of performance. I knew that, but I was just... Sometimes you got to build it poorly in order to figure out how to build it well. Can I get a witness from the programmers out there? Sometimes you got to build it poorly in order to know how to build it well. So we built it poorly in order to know how to build it well. And now Michael's been spending, I don't know, he's in his 6th or 7th week working on what we call just-in-time simulator. JIT. Just-in-time simulator. So he's been working on the JIT simulator, and that's an article that I could write. But... And now we simulate things as you need them. So if you're walking along a road between two towns, we can figure out at that moment in time, should you see somebody like a trader or a guard patrol or a merchant moving along those towns. But for all the roads that you're not on, you don't need to see that, and we don't need to simulate that. So we call that slow time. There's time dilation. There's a bubble of time around you that we do on kind of an hourly basis, and then all the parts outside of a certain range we don't even bother simulating. Maybe that seems really obvious to you, but it wasn't to us. And so, anyways, he's been working on that. Anyways, the performance of the game is like way better. Josh is so Daniel's working on the new map and performance, and you can hire mercenaries. and there's docks, and you can book travel between docks. We name the bodies of water. It just goes on and on and on with all the stuff that we've been working on. Anyway, so Daniel's been working on that. He's currently working on the Mage Tower and making the Mage Tower performance like a whole lot better. I don't know if you've played it and noticed it was like pretty slow. It's pretty slow. So there's a bunch of reasons for that. If any of you are Unity developers, do not make a billion little canvases. It really slows the whole thing down. It's totally unnecessary. On the other hand, we found out that you don't want one big canvas. There's this middle ground between 1,000 canvases and 2 canvases where you kind of want to be in the 20 to 30 canvas kind of zone, because that way when something changes, it only has to update one portion of the screen. One small canvas needs to be updated rather than the whole thing needing to be updated. Anyway, Daniel's working on the performance. He's working on the Mage Tower, and that's going to continue on for another week. Michael's working on the JIT simulator, and that's been going well. We've rewritten the way patrols and monster layers and NPCs that you meet, how all that stuff works. And Josh has been working on the story NPC dialogue conversation bit. So we have this cool new feature. It's amazing. I will show it to you soon. Where you can go to the inn and NPCs, they like come in, they have conversation. You can listen to them. I watched a GDC talk, and it just opened my eyes. Like, yes, you need to be able to listen to people in this game. They shouldn't just be standing there waiting for you to go up and like talk to them. You can get a sense of what's going on in the town, what's going on in the world, what's going on in the factions, by just listening to what people say. Now, you can go and you can dialogue with them, of course, but the fact that NPCs just stand there waiting for you to talk to them just seems really ridiculous. Seems very, I don't know, it breaks, dissonance. Anyway, so there's that. Then we've been working on the save files, and if any of you have noticed, your save file is about 20 megabytes. Daniel was looking into that, and he found out 18 megs of that was fish. And so we only needed a 2 megabyte save file, and that's a huge improvement. And so we've been able to get the game to start up. It used to take 20 seconds or 30 seconds to load a world, and now it's like 2 seconds. And the reason for that was we got rid of all the fish. So insert Douglas Adams quote here and make funny joke. So the reason for this is kind of funny. I thought I'd share it with you that we have every single hex, and they simulate, and they have trees that grow and berry bushes that grow berries, and then we have fish, and we have fish that, you know, these fish live here and they can migrate and they can reproduce, and so we have the simulated world. And so when you have a lot of water, like there's a lot of ocean hexes, there's a lot of fish schools that are in there. And so anyway, when you add it up, it looked like the save file was 90% fish. All the schools of fish. So that was totally unnecessary. We actually really only need to know what fish are somewhere when you go and start fishing there. Otherwise, who cares? If you never drop a line, it doesn't matter what fish are living in. So that's the part of the JIT simulator and the performance improvements that we're finding. Okay, so the last thing is it has, obviously we have a larger team. Like right now, we have 5 full-time people working at Defiance, and now we're about to go into 7 people working on this thing. And so money is a challenge. You can watch the yearly video update on how that is. But anyway, this past week has been really stressful because I've had to make payroll on my line of credit. And my line of credit is right at the edge of being out of money. Anyways, I just made it through this payroll. I am scared to death about the one on the 15th, and I'm already worried about it today as to how am I going to pay for all these people. It's summer. I'm currently not teaching. Because I'm a planner, I knew that this was going to happen. But anyways, now I'm right in the middle of it, and it sucks. And so there's 2 things that I'm doing in order to try and make ends meet here in order to finish this game off as quickly as we can. So the first thing is we've taken on some contract work. There's a company in the US that heard about us and was like, hey, we would love for you guys to help us make this game. And so we started doing that, and that just started like 2 weeks ago. Haven't been paid for that yet, but anyway, that's money that's coming in, and that is one of the reasons why I can't give you a definitive like here's when Archmage is going to be done, because we just took on this contract work, and I have to figure out how many resources are on a contract work, how many resources are working on Archmage in order to figure out when we're actually going to be done. So that's why that. But anyways, that helps pay the bills. The second thing is I am selling my grocery store. Now, maybe you don't know I own a grocery store, but anyways, I own a grocery store, and that happened 7 years ago. At the same time when I announced Archmage Rises, we accidentally bought a grocery store. How do you accidentally buy a grocery store? That is a long story that I could tell in another place and another time, but we accidentally bought a grocery store. And that grocery store has sucked up a lot of my money and a bunch of my time over kind of 3 years, 4 years, from 2014 to 2017, 2018. And it never made me any money. But recently, it started paying some of the bills, and that's how I'm able to pay for some of the people around here, is that this little grocery store generates some profit, and I'm able to take that and turn it into game developers. Anyway, it's been great during COVID. It's been crazy busy during COVID because everybody's afraid to go to the big city. Basically, I was like, I don't need to ever sell this thing. I could just hold on to it. It makes money for the rest of my life. That sounds like a pretty good thing. Why would you ever get rid of that? Well, the answer is because I need money right now. That's the short answer. Rather than a little bit of money every single month, I would like a whole lot of money right now, so that I don't have the stress of meeting each payroll. And it allows me to expand the team. So, let's say the grocery store is giving me $5,000 a month. That's great. How many people can you pay on $5,000 a month? Not very many. And so it's great if it's giving me $5,000 a month. It doesn't, but anyway, if it was giving me $5,000 a month, I could hire 1 to 1.5 people or something for that. Or if I sell it to somebody and they gave me, say, $200,000 in total, now I can afford to have 3 people for a year at least with that $200,000. And so I'm selling the future in order to make this game. Selling money for the rest of my life in order to make money with this game and finish it off. So that is the biggest news. Ton of work, a whole bunch of weekends went into preparing it and getting financial statements and putting this thing up for sale. Anyway, you can see pictures of it. So grocery store going up for sale. I don't know how long it's going to take in order to get a buyer for it, but as soon as we get a buyer for it, I won't have responsibilities at the grocery store anymore. Again, it's like 4 hours a week or something that I spend on it. It's not a huge amount of time. But anyway, it's always on my mind. And you know what I want to always be on my mind? Archmage Rises. That's what I want to always be on my mind. And so jettisoning the grocery store from my mind and getting the cash so I can focus and complete Archmage Rises, that sounds like a good plan. So the way that I ultimately came to the conclusion to sell this grocery store, talking to my wife and others, was headaches go down, money goes up. That sounds like a wise decision. Headaches go down, money goes up. So I'm all in. I was all in working on Archmage 7 years ago. I recommitted and went all in, 2 years ago when I started hiring people like Daniel and Michael and now Josh. I'm going all in again. I'm selling the grocery store, the golden goose that makes me money every month. I'm selling it and I'm going all in again on this crazy idea of making this RPG simulator, a mage simulator specifically. So we'll see what happens. These update videos may chronicle my ultimate financial demise and I start living in a tent in Portland and maybe Nick will come and visit me. Or this game will do well and I will get my money back and we will have established a studio. That may be the reason why you're watching these update videos. What is going to happen to this crazy guy and the crazy people that follow him? We don't know. But that is as much a video update as I can give you right now. And look at that, it's been 18 minutes. So longer than I expected. But I just briefly hit all the highlights and I will give you more next time. Is it next week? I don't know because I'm crazy busy trying to sell this grocery store and whatnot, getting new employees started, figuring out this contract work. I don't know. I will give you an update when I can. For now, thanks. Bye.